The Finding Purpose podcast is proudly brought to you by Relive the Moments, founded by visionary entrepreneur John Lim. We live in a world where it's easy to capture memories, but Relive the Moments makes it effortless to re-experience and share them. From NFC-enabled tap coasters and photo frames to interactive video cards, Relive the Moments turns everyday objects into unforgettable tap-to-experience keepsakes. Imagine gifting a wedding guest a coaster that instantly opens your highlight reel, or giving your event sponsors a custom frame that tells your story with just one tap. Whether you're celebrating a milestone, planning a wedding, honoring a legacy, or elevating a brand experience, Relive the Moments is the bridge between the past and present, between memory and connection. It's not just a product, it's an experience. Visit www.relivethemoments.com and use promo code PURPOSE for 25% off your first order. Let's bring your memories to life, one tap at a time.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Finding Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Adam Vora, and I'm so grateful to have you here. This podcast is all about exploring the journeys of incredible individuals, people who have faced adversity, found their purpose, and are now making an impact in their communities. But it's also about my journey. Over the years, I've faced my own obstacles, moments of doubt, and struggles with identity. Through it all, I found my purpose in giving back, creating a space where people can detach from the negative emotions and stigmas they may associate with their own stories, just like I did with mine. Here, we have real conversations about growth, resilience, and transformation. Whether you're searching for direction, striving for personal development, or simply looking for a place to feel seen and understood, this is for you. So if these conversations resonate with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and connect with us on social media. Now let's dive into today's episode.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Finding Purpose podcast. I'm Adam, and I'm truly grateful you're here. Whether you're listening on Apple Podcasts or watching on the official YouTube channel of the Finding Purpose podcast, thank you for being part of this community. Before we dive in, I want to invite you, if you're feeling stuck, ready for change, or craving deeper alignment, to explore my Core Shift program, a space designed to help you reconnect with purpose, build clarity, and create meaningful momentum in your life. If you're ready to do the inner work that leads to real transformation, you can learn more through the links in the show notes. And as always, if you haven't yet, please subscribe, leave a review, and share. It truly helps grow this amazing community. Last week's episode with Jamie Lee Zeno was a powerful reminder of what it looks like to lead with discipline, balance, and intention across multiple worlds. Today's guest brings that same energy through creativity, reinvention, and purpose-driven work. Fern Murray is a local interior designer and the founder of Fern's Nest Interior Design and Social Tide, a social media agency. Originally from England, Fern moved to the U.S. 10 years ago and built her career from the ground up, creating businesses that sit at the intersection of creativity, storytelling, and service. Through her work, Fern helps people feel more at home in their spaces and more confident in their brands. Motherhood further reshaped how she defined success, grounding her work in intention, balance, and meaning. Her journey is one of reinvention and resilience, and a reminder that purpose isn't something you find all at once, but something that evolves as you grow. Let's get into it. How is that?
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
Hey, listen, I mean, I took from our conversation, I took from what you sent me, and I think that perfectly kind of encapsulates what you're about. But I am super interested in learning more and super intrigued. We had a great conversation, and I'd really just love to kind of just start at the beginning and talk about, obviously you were born and grew up in England, and what was that like?
It was great. We had a great childhood. We started in London. My parents both worked in London. My dad's from Ireland, actually. That's where my parents met. And we decided to, well, my parents decided to move to the countryside. And then I think my parents really developed like a knack for, in this country, you'd call it flipping houses. But they did really put like a lot of work into the homes that they lived in. We used to live in them for a few years, and then we'd move house again. But we lived in amazing locations. Like my most favorite house, we lived on like backing on to a farm, and me and my husband, oh my goodness, me and my brother would like frolic in the farm and get up to all sorts of mischief with the horses, and there'd be blackberry bushes, and we lived about an hour away from the beach, so we'd go down there every now and again. But yeah, that was kind of like where we would kind of grow.
Yeah. So like you lived in London. How long did you live in London until you moved to the countryside?
I think I was around, it was kind of a blur, probably around 6 or 7. Someone actually tried to kidnap me.
What?
I know, so random.
In London?
In London.
Oh, tell that story.
I was out with my brother and we were playing outside, and I was on this bike that you push with your feet and you kind of sit down. It's like a go-kart. And this man kept circling the block, and he eventually told me to come up and get in his car. And my brother saw it happen and steadfast pushed me all the way home. It was probably about 300 yards from our house. Pushed me all the way up our really steep driveway and ran into our house and told my mom. And that's when my parents decided that maybe that wasn't the place for us to grow up anymore. Kind of went downhill a bit as to the location that we were living in. So
it scared your parents?
Scared them. Yeah. They wanted a bit more for us.
What was it like? Obviously, you're moving to the country. What is growing up in England like? Because now, you've been here for 10 years, you have children of your own, and if you compare the childhood that your children have now to the childhood that you had, what are some things that you now, looking back on those early years in England, obviously the first 6, 7 in London, and then the remainder in the country, that you're grateful that you were able to experience?
I think it's so different because it really depends on your experience with your parents. And now I'm a parent. I do things differently to what my parents do, and they had done things differently to what I would do. So a lot of people tend to think that because you speak the same language here, that it's very similar. It's a very similar country, but it's really different. I can't quite put my finger on what the main differences are as a child, but I think you have the culture is a lot different in England. It's a lot more social. I feel like here people really tend to want to define themselves earlier on. And in England, I feel like it's a bit more open from a younger age. So I'd say that's probably the biggest difference. It's just, be who you are, be a child, develop yourself a little bit.
Aside from getting kidnapped, or almost getting kidnapped, what were some other flagship childhood memories? You said your parents were in real estate, or were they?
No, my mom was a teacher.
Okay.
And my dad was a builder. And they both actually decided, I think when I was around 11 or 12, to go and get their degrees. My mom was a teaching assistant before that, and then she decided to go ahead and get her degree and become, an official teacher. And then she specialized in autism. And then my dad got his degree and then decided to be a lecturer in construction.
Okay.
So.
Which probably helped with flipping the houses.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Yeah, I think that really helped. He's always been in building. He was a contractor in masonry, and he'd always been the handy guy. Growing up, nothing was a job. That he could build a wall, he could change a light bulb, he could do the electrical, the plumbing in our houses. So I definitely think me and my brother adopted that when we were watching him and we were on site with him, we were helping him. And we definitely have those attributes growing up too.
Are you the only one from your immediate family who's here in the States?
Yes.
So your brother's out there. Older brother or younger brother?
Older brother.
Older. Are you guys tight?
Pretty tight, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love him. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Did he have kids also? And
He does not. He
okay.
So my brother actually is registered blind,
Okay.
and growing up, my parents had really put a lot of work into making sure that he was able to get the right care that he can for that. He can still see. He has something called retinitis pigmentosa, which is where it's essentially tunnel vision. And he was able to go to these schools which really focused on his sport. He played cricket for England at one point, and he just went to Paralympics and got a silver medal. So yeah, we are just really proud of him. We love each other very much.
Yeah.
I miss him, but he has no kids, so he's just kind of at the end of his athlete career.
Oh wow.
And now he's, got a big boy job, and not that he didn't have that before, but he's starting to, settle down a bit more.
It's funny because I've spoken to other, folks on my podcast where, there's something like that within the family, right? And like, not saying that like obviously he's an accomplished athlete. For me, in my case with my family, like I was very much like the trouble child and sucked out a lot of attention from my parents.
Yeah.
And I look at, my sister and how that might have affected her. And, we've talked about it. So, obviously having a brother who needed a little more attention growing up, in hindsight, do you see how did it affect the dynamic of your upbringing, or were there any moments where, you might have felt that you weren't given the attention that you needed?
It definitely affected me. And I think it really kind of spitfired who I am today. I was very independent from a young age. And I think now I'm in this position where I don't live in my native country, if you can call it that.
Yeah. You can.
I don't know if you can call it that, but my original country, and I moved here, and I'm still pretty independent here. My husband tries to look after me, but I tend to really just have my own way of dealing with things.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, it's funny because I just can relate to that. But I was the one sucking the oxygen out of the house.
Yeah.
And not to say that your brother did that, but where I needed more attention.
Yeah, and it's something that it's in the back of my mind all the time. But I'm so thankful that they did that for him, because he may have been in a completely different position than he is today.
Yeah. So you get older, right? And what next? Sorry, I'm curious. Like, so you're in your teenage years.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after you graduated high school?
Yeah. So,
do they call it high school?
No, they call it just regular school, and then you have just regular school. But then you have 2 years between the ages of 16 and 18 where you specialize in 3 or 4 subjects to kind of help you differentiate what you like for when you go to university.
Okay.
So you
makes a lot more sense than what we do here.
Well, and those 2 years are called college in England, which is very confusing when you come over here because you say, "Oh, yes, I went to college," but it's different to what college means here.
Huh.
So you have school, and then you have college, and then you have university. But I never went to university.
What 3 subjects did you pick in college?
I picked drama, English language, and fine art and design.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Really, really creative, I guess.
Have you always had that creative yearning?
I think so. Yeah. It's I always think back to when I was younger, and I'd be at home and I'd be rearranging the bedroom. I'd go out and spend all my pocket money on new bed sheets just to make it look pretty. There would just be I always was trying to make my bedroom better.
Yeah.
And I was always painting, just trying to have a creative outlet from somewhere,
Was there ever an epiphany that you were just like, hey, listen, I don't like school, or I don't like certain subjects in school, but like arts and whatnot are something that like I want to do. And what were the first steps you took towards that?
I don't think there was. You
No?
know, I think I just gravitated towards those subjects all the time. I was never good at math. I was never really good at physics. Like all of those kind of academic subjects that you have, I was never good at, but I was always really good at English or biology or art and drama. That's where I kind of put my energy. And I think being in school in England really helped that because they really focus you on that particular subject and don't see you as like this, you know, you're not very good at math and you're not very good at this and you're not very good at that. They really push you into the subject that you're good at, especially for those last 2 years of your high school career, you would say here.
I kind of love that, frankly, because
Yeah,
I
I
feel
do
like we don't
too.
really get that here.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously, how old are your children?
I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old.
A 3-year-old and a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's like kind of like a ripe age where, you know, they're obviously like don't really know what they like. They like
Right.
very, you know, they like
They're
fun.
malleable at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they still have their innocence at that point. But like knowing that the educational background that you came from really steered you in the right direction. And I can't say that the American education system does the same thing, where it really does put a lot of stock in grades, put a lot of
Yeah.
stock in like ranking
And scholarships.
and scholarships also.
Uh-huh.
And where there are a lot of kids, you know, leaving high school, you know, just going to college because that's the next thing to do, but still not knowing what they want to do. I think that's really cool that in England they give you those 2 years to like figure it out
Yeah.
before you make a long-term commitment to university.
Yeah. And when you take those 2 years, if you do well in those subjects, those let you acquire a certain amount of points, which allow you to apply for university. And a lot of people also have the ability to go to trade school at that point as well to figure out if that's what they like as well, or whilst remaining within the educational system. So I think it's really, it gives like a 16-year-old like an opportunity to grow up a little bit,
Yeah.
but also nurture what they like doing and figure it out. And, you know, I'm sure there's people out there in England who have completely changed their careers as to what they do.
Yeah.
But I do think it helps steer you in the right direction, you know?
Yeah. So like after college,
Yeah.
British college,
Yeah.
what was the next steps? Like, did you jump right into
So-
interior design?
No, it was so random. My journey is so random.
Oh, let's unpack it.
My mom told me I have to go to university. So you either apply for university or you get a full-time job. So I went and got a full-time job at the... I just wasn't ready yet. I just wasn't there yet. And, you know, university prices are, you know, a fraction of the cost here, but they are still a lot of money. And I wasn't ready to commit to that financial burden yet. So I went and got a job at a bank. And I...
Fern the banker.
Exactly. So I worked in banking for quite a few years. I did pretty well. And then I got offered a promotion. And it was a sort of job that you kind of, you know, you don't necessarily turn down and you kind of stay on that segue for the next 30 years of your life. And it didn't resonate with me at that point. So I decided to go traveling instead. So I signed up to be an au pair. And because I didn't want to use my savings to go traveling. I didn't want to waste them. And I decided to, you know, I was Googling ways to work and live in the US. And that was what popped up, was to be an au pair. I was like, great. I'll do that for a year. I'll go on a sabbatical. I'll make my decision and then I'll come back. And I never went back.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that does take a lot of courage, frankly, to be like, understand that, you know, you're offered this promotion at the bank and you're like, this isn't calling me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that, where they just kind of continue on the path. They go up the corporate ladder. They say yes to the promotion. They make more money, but are they really happy? How had you always wanted to like come to the United States?
I'd been here a few times with my parents.
Yeah.
I'd come to New Orleans a couple years before.
New Orleans.
New Orleans. Sorry.
No, I wasn't correcting you.
Oh,
It was more me being like New Orleans. Yeah.
I thought it was because a lot of people say it like that though.
Yeah. It's New Orleans.
New
Yeah,
Orleans.
however you pronounce it.
I went to Florida a couple times. I went to New York, came to New York on an art trip when I was 15 through my school. So they do a lot of like international trips for artwork and
US don't do that shit. We
stuff
can't
like
afford
that. It was really cool. I came here, I was 15. I went to the MoMA. I went to
MoMA? Yeah, I love MoMA.
all of these beautiful, like, museums here. Anyway, sorry, I'm segueing. So I had been to the US before. I wouldn't say that was necessarily my destination that I was picking. It just was the first thing that popped up and Googled, and I had to go on an interview, and a family decided that they wanted to, host me, and here I am.
Huh.
Yeah.
What were the rudest awakenings when transitioning into American culture and seeing, really the internal workings of a wealthy American family, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
What were some shock and awe moments?
Yeah. My situation, I don't think was typical. Just going to open a whole other can of worms for
I
you.
think we'll be fine. They ain't listening.
So let's talk cultural differences first.
Okay.
The driving, the big cars, the way people talk, obviously. People will look at you like, you have something on your forehead because you just have a different accent. Like the going out culture, I was really grateful to have a few friends when I came here who were in a similar position. I had a friend from France and I had a friend from the Netherlands, and we just used to have so much fun.
Wait, how old were you when you came here? Like 20?
21.
21? Okay.
Yeah. So everything was delightful.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
It was
21.
so much fun.
You
Yeah.
have other au pair friends, correct?
Yeah.
And you were working during the day and then kind of partying on the weekends?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Huh.
what I
Where was
doing.
it?
Stanford.
Stanford. Okay.
Yeah.
That's so cool. But, it obviously gave you the taste of the culture, right? And
Yes.
what about, obviously, like, I would never ask you to, like, I'm curious to see, like, now you're observing an American family for the first time, and you're probably contrasting it with the way you were brought up.
Yeah. Well, so the family that decided to host me were lovely. They were two, I think she was 12 at the time and 13. The girls were adopted. And unfortunately, their mum had passed away about 6 weeks before me coming here, which is why the dad needed help with someone. So I was really here to play like a big sister role, and he worked in the city. So it was a lot of emotionally draining days. But I really wanted to be there for these two girls who had just gone through something so awful. So a lot of my time was really trying to nurture them and just be their friend, and be like a hopefully a good role model for them.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit different than the typical, person coming in as an au pair with two young kids and,
Two parents.
Yeah, two parents. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, you're taking on like in more than just like an au pair role, because you're also, they just went through a traumatizing experience.
Yeah.
And how do you think that changed you witnessing, these grieving kids?
Yeah. I think I grew up really fast.
Yeah.
Really fast. Because I had to for them, And I think it's, you're here and you're having fun and you're partying and you're doing all this stuff. But there was the other 80% of my time here was trying to make sure that they had someone. And, the dad was going through stuff too, so he wasn't necessarily there, which is understandable. But as, there was just, I think it made me grow up real fast here,
What did you learn about yourself through that experience?
Goodness.
Because you're also here on your own.
I think I learned that I just could take way more than I thought I could at that point, you know? And I just had to learn on the go how to be like a support for young teenagers.
Huh. How long did you serve in that role?
2 years.
2 years? Okay.
Yeah, so in between that, I met my husband.
Okay.
And, that we fell very in love.
Yeah.
And the intention was for me to go home after a year. And I stayed another year, and then we got married. So, yeah, I was married pretty early.
Yeah. So you married like by 25?
23, I was married.
By 23, you were married?
Yeah.
Wow.
Don't regret it there.
Don't, well,
He's a lovely human being.
No, I love that. And, I think, I think that's beautiful. And I'd love for you to just talk about that journey and like early relationship and relationship. I think like given the fact that you were married at a young age and obviously like relationships take work. I'd love to talk about relationships and how to navigate them. And so you get married at 23. What was that early connection like? And how has it grown over the years?
So we met, and I was in denial about how much I liked him for a long time. And my friends were like, I mean, he's your boyfriend. I'm like, no, he's not. Like, were you seeing anyone else? And I was like, no. And this was like 6 months at this point. He's American.
Yeah.
And I think I was in denial for so long, not because I didn't like him, just because I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Am I going to move my whole life here? I'd been here for a year at that point. And we had to sit down and have a conversation about, whether I'm going to be staying here, because he had a very successful career here. His whole family is here. And he, at that point, wasn't in a position to be moving back to England with me.
What's his name?
Mike.
Mike. Okay.
Yeah. I think everyone's called Mike here.
Yeah.
We know so many people called Mike.
You don't say.
It's like when you go to a pizza bar and they're like, Mike, and like 5 guys get up. But yeah. So we had to have this conversation as to, whether I'd be staying another year. And we obviously decided that that was the case. And then he asked me to marry him about, I think we were dating for 18 months at that point. And then we got married, I think, just as like 2 years had passed by of me being here. So, yeah, it developed very quickly.
Had your parents come from England and met him during those 18 months?
They were here randomly, just traveling.
Yeah.
And they'd seen me at the beginning of their trip. They were planning to drive. I don't even know where they were driving to at this point, but up there somewhere. And they had missed Mike because he was at a conference. So he decided to drive 3 hours upstate New York to meet them when he came back, to just because I've been dating him for so long at this point.
Yeah.
I think we were dating for like 6 or 8 months. And they met him, and, they agreed with me that he was lovely. And, we went over to see them a bunch of times. And then, my family came over for the wedding.
You got married in England?
No.
Oh, you got married here?
Yeah. We got married in Long Island.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So, obviously, like, relationships take work, and you fell in love early. What are some things you've learned about yourself through this through marriage? And we'll start there.
I don't know. That's such a good question. I guess just
that's what I'm here for.
We're a team. You know what I mean? You know what it is? I've been very isolated is not the right word, but independent from a young age. And I think allowing someone else in that vulnerability and in my life and making us more of a unit rather than a me and a him. I hadn't experienced that before. So I think I learned to let some things down a little bit more and go a little bit more and be a bit more vulnerable to, around the people I love.
Can I ask you like a straight question? Like prior to meeting Mike, were you more guarded when it came to letting people in?
I don't think you know what, I let people in. I'm very like wear my heart on my sleeve. I just never let myself give in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To the support or the love or the whatever they were trying to give to me. You know?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, you know, being, you know, in a marriage and now, you know, life is happening and, you know, there are tests, you know, what was the biggest test that you feel like you faced that, you know, like obviously.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Within being within this marriage in this very unique situation, I think the being away from my family and being away from my home, I think that was the biggest test in our marriage, and having understanding of each other as to, you know, I'm really homesick, you know, multiple times throughout the month or the year.
Yeah.
And allowing that to kind of develop and not let it kind of, you know, it's not his fault that I'm homesick.
Yeah.
This was a mutual decision. But yeah, being away from the country that you're used to and, you know, the people and the friends and the family and, you know, some of those relationships, you know, fall. Like a lot of my friendships, you know, didn't survive because I've been here for so long. It's hard to really keep that together when your priority when you're going over to England is to see your family and to have them meet your kids, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I'm thinking about my dad. My dad came to this country by himself.
Yeah.
When my mom came to this country, her entire family came with them. So my mom came from Iran, and they were, you know, they're Persian Jewish, and they weren't very welcome in Iran in the 60s, 70s. And, you know, their whole family immigrated here. My dad came by himself for education. Then he met my mom, fell in love with her. But, you know, like she had her whole support system here and he didn't, you know? So now I'm kind of, you know, obviously picturing you in that sense where, you know, your whole support system is home. You meet this guy, you fall in love.
Yeah.
And his whole support system is here. And now you start a life together. But, you know, granted, it's a shared family and his family, but, you know, a huge part of you is also in England. And I can, you know, obviously, you know, thinking of my dad, like there must have been moments like that for him where he longed to be with his mom, especially when his mom was, you know, dying. And,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, life continues to happen whether we're there or not.
Right.
And what has that really done to you when it comes to now being a mother and raising children and, you know, making sure that, you know, they're always supported?
Yeah, I just making sure that they're always heard. They're not afraid to tell me anything, and making sure that they feel safe. And there's really there's I don't think as a parent there's anything that you could necessarily do to keep your children in your house for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And I hope they're strong, independent girls that are able to tell me everything and we're able to discuss their fears or if they screwed up or, you know, if something happened that they feel safe to tell me. But I don't necessarily want to push them into a box and leave them there, you know, so that it feels safe for me.
Yeah.
You know, I want them to flourish and to, you know, be amazing human beings and be happy, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think parents oftentimes project their own fears onto their children. Was there a moment when you decided to move to England that your parents did that? Did they want you to come here?
They of course they didn't want me to come here, but not from a malicious standpoint. They wanted me to be happy. But they never said to me like, I don't want you to move there. I don't want you to leave. You're not doing this.
Yeah.
You know, I was 21 at that point, still very young, but I was an adult. But in their heart, of course, they didn't want, you know, me to be, you know, however 1,000 miles across the ocean from them. But they have never made me feel guilty for it.
Yeah.
You know, they've always been very supportive in that move and have always told me that they want me to be happy. But, you know, they didn't want me to come here.
Yeah. Huh.
You know?
So you get married. Mike is working. He has his career.
Yeah.
What first got you into interior design? I mean, you said you
So-
already had that from an early childhood. Like,
Yeah.
it's always like fascinated with
Yeah.
rooms and whatnot.
So I got a job at an architectural firm. So I was helping them with their floor plans and really learning like how like the inner workings of a house, you know, are developed. And they sold floor plans and they changed floor plans up to, you know, depending on the particular client. And I worked there for a long time, and in that same breath bought my house. Me and my husband bought our house. And
In Fairfield?
In Fairfield. And I just put all of my thought and effort and time into it. And as I was doing this, friends were asking me to do their houses. Family members were asking for advice. I started sharing on social media about what I was doing. And it just developed into this business that I didn't necessarily know was happening. So it really flourished from like a very organic place, which I think is great. And then, you know, I've done some interior design courses and, you know, understanding like scale and color theory just to kind of further my development in it. And I've been doing it since 2017 now. So 9 years I've been in this business. So I think I really officially turned it into a business, I think around 2020. So yeah, that's kind of where that kind of stemmed from.
Quick break to shout out our sponsor, Relive the Moments. Founded by John Lim, they're redefining how we share memories. From tap-to-play photo frames to interactive coasters, they turn ordinary objects into powerful, shareable experiences. Perfect for weddings, events, or milestone moments. Relive, reconnect, reimagine. Check them out at www.relivethemoments.com. Now back to the show. No, I love that. And, you know, I think I think it's an industry, it's a service industry where you're also, you know, developing a really close relationship with your clients in the sense that you are helping them design a place where so many memories are going to happen.
Yeah.
Like the kitchen where your kids are going to come down every morning for breakfast, the living room where, you know, you spend family time, you know, even, you know, holidays, special occasions, all of these things are going to occur. And you turn people's houses into homes. Talk about the significance of that.
Yeah, my mantra usually with my clients is that you need to be ready for this, right? Like if you buy a house, spend a few months inside it, learn how your family works and how you weave through it, and learn how you live in it, and then come back to me and we'll talk about it. And it's really just nurturing the practicality of owning a home or an apartment, if you have kids or you don't have kids, but just learning what you need from it and making sure that we're able to nurture what you need from the design aspect itself. So that's typically where I start with people, and making sure that they're able to enjoy the environment that they're in. There are a lot of designers out there, very talented designers who are able to come into a space and put their mark and their brand, you know, within a space. That's not something I do, just because I need it to be something that resonates with that person or my client.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think there's a lot of folks in the industry who are just like, hey, like, you know, this is a Jane Doe signature design, and it's like, so, like, it's almost on a low key marketing.
Yeah.
For when guests come over and they're like, oh, this is a blah, blah, blah designer, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely well-known, very talented designers, and it's their signature, and that's what they do. And maybe at some point I might be within that scale, but I think whatever scale I'm in, if I'm designing for someone, it has to be for them.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be for their style. And I might have someone who says, you know, I love what you did here. Please do it in my living room. And I had that recently. I said, we can absolutely do that, but let's find out what you like about it and how we can customize it for you and your life.
What do you think are the misconceptions that most people have about designing a house that you have to immediately kind of just jump in there and nip it in the butt?
That it's not a collaborative experience for them. You know, that they don't have a say as to what they want. And it, you know, it costs money, you know. So I think a lot of the people that, you know, inquire to talk with you or, you know, think that you're going to come in and say, this is what I want to do. And I don't care what else there is to do. You know what I mean? Like, this is what I want to do. And, you know, you either hire me for that or you don't.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's, you know, a lot of people's reservations is that they're not going to actually get or enjoy what they paid for.
Do you think that a lot of people kind of go into it being like, this is what I want, and then like when you really dig in, it's like, no, that's not really what you want? Because obviously, you know, colors have an effect on mood, or you know, positioning of certain furniture won't be convenient. And how does knowing, you talked about how you went to school and you to understand the you know, the impact of colors and scale and everything. Let's talk about that, because I think there is a psychology behind colors.
Yeah, for sure.
Can you drop some knowledge about that? Because I'm super curious to learn about it, and I'm sure Justin is, because he's colorblind.
I mean, it really depends on the space.
Okay.
And it really depends on what you want to feel when you go into the space. It depends on the lighting. It depends on what anchoring pieces you want to keep or buy or purchase or acquire. And it really depends on, it's so personal, I think, and personalized to the person. But I would say the biggest thing that I typically do when I'm designing a home is, if there is a primary color or a main color, to sprinkle that color in other spaces so it feels cohesive and it doesn't feel like that's all you're focusing on. So your psychology, like when your brain, when you go into a room, your natural eye line likes to go up and down. That's what makes the brain happy and produce serotonin. If it's flat, you kind of flow over it. You don't see it, and it doesn't excite you. It doesn't excite your brain. So I always say, like, if you're shelf styling or you're designing, a wall, or you're putting architectural structures within a space, so make sure that eye line is got some flow to it, and it's not just one stagnant line.
Huh. So, like, on a 1 to 10, the interior design of this studio, like, that sign is tacky AF, isn't it?
It's again, it's all personal, and it could be someone asking to do their living room. It could be someone asking to do their whole house or their office or their studio or massive areas. But to make sure that you've got texture in there and, no flat lines, it's quite challenging, actually.
Yeah.
Especially when you have to keep within a brief.
Well, one of the things I always tell people is, like, I don't have, like, a creative, like, artistic bone in my body. Like, even when it comes to, like, a lot of my content and stuff like that, like, I have other people do it. And that's also a big part of what you do with your other business. And it's not because I don't. No, I'm just bad at it, frankly. You know what I mean? Like, even, like, with events that I do, it's like, people be like, oh, like, what are we doing for flowers? And I'm like, outsourcing. What I mean? Because it's like I don't want. If someone's like, oh, like, will these colors look good? I'll just probably just say, yeah, I think so. And I don't have an eye for it. But when it comes to, like, different technical things and communicating with the florist, I'd be happy to communicate with the florist. But I'm not ever gonna. I always trust that that's one thing people are better at than me.
Yeah.
Obviously, taking the interior design. And now you're also helping brands.
Yes.
With your digital agency. That's a different animal. Because I think, you're factoring the personality, you're also who their target audience is. Talk about how that came to be. Did that come to be like after the interior design?
So it was all kind of married together. So I did a lot of the social media for the architectural firm that I was working with too. So that's kind of like, it was kind of at the peak point where social media was really, you know, it was being customized for businesses. So I helped that business grow a lot on social media. And I became their social media, like in-house social media marketing person.
Yeah.
I know.
That's cool.
So random. And I'd send reports and like how we performed, you know, Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and, you know, if we're putting any ads out there and what content was resonating with people. And I left that job to have my daughter. And the plan was to be a stay-at-home mum and kind of nurture this other interior design business that was on the side at the point. And one of my very close mum friends asked to hire me for social media for her business. And I was like, oh gosh, here we go again. And I did really well. And I launched...
What type of business was it?
It was a wedding. They specialize in furniture for events and weddings.
Okay.
And they put together lounges and stuff like that.
Cool.
Gather and Lounge is the business. Delightful people.
Gather and Lounge?
Yep.
Were they based out of Fairfield?
They are, yes. Yeah, I think the warehouse is in Bridgeport, but they, you know, service New York, Connecticut.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, they're cool. And her husband actually owns a lighting company. Yeah, so they work in tandem together. It's cool. So from there, I built Social Tide. And again, you know, would stay up until 3 a.m. taking courses on how to better myself, like within that area. I already knew a lot. I just felt like I needed to do it, you know, to make sure I'm doing and serving the, you know, the purpose of people's businesses. And I just, again, snowballed from there.
What are some common misconceptions that you feel people have when it comes to presenting their brand over social media?
I think people are worried. Like, I completely empathize that people's businesses are their babies. And I think people don't think you're going to do as good as a job that they might be able to do, which could be true because no one knows their business like themselves, right? But it's my job to tunnel in to that person and their business and figure out what it is, what message are you trying to deliver, what product are you trying to sell or service you're trying to sell, so that I can make that happen for you.
How big of a factor, because one of the things for me, I think storytelling is a huge part of my brand, and B, a highly effective way for people to develop trust with their audience, right? Mm-hmm. What kind of stock do you put into storytelling?
It depends on the brand. I try and start with like pillars as to what their brand stands for, and then I'll put like a strategy based on that particular,
like 2 or 3
brand.
buckets of just like...
Yeah, and education is a huge part of that, depending on the business. So storytelling can come in many ways. It can come in education. It can come in product development. It can come in engagement. And then your content strategy as well, making sure that they all align and speak to each other and speak to all of the different pockets of the audience that you're trying to, you know, push out your product to.
You know, it's funny because like I obviously am on social media. I pump a lot of content out on social media. I really want to build brand awareness, but, you know, most importantly, I really want to impact people positively.
Yeah.
Because I think that's really where, you know, that's really what I prioritize. How many people can I help? How many people will listen to something from this podcast and be like, hey, like, that was me. This person did this. Or I've felt this way before. What did they do to not feel that way anymore?
Yeah.
And also, you know, convey, you know, just the personalities behind these episodes. And I think that's like super important for me because, I mean, that's how you found me, you know, at the end of the day. But I do struggle with like certain components. Like I think like building good hooks, or is this information valuable, or the timing of the algorithm, all of these things algorithmically, like I know it always changes,
Of course, yeah.
and there was someone who told me, he was just like, listen, just keep being consistent,
Yeah.
keep pumping out things consistently
And authentic.
and authentically,
Yeah.
and then that's what it is.
Yeah. It's your consistency and people believing that you are who you are,
Yeah,
and being authentic as much as you can, because you are you and this is your brand. And this is, nothing else, no one else is going to do a better job than you are right now. And to push that out into the world consistently is the main most important thing,
Yeah. Well, one of the things that bugs me a lot is that there's a lot of brands who, kind of convey what they do, but you don't hear from the founders. You don't hear from the people behind the brand.
Yeah.
It's their products being pumped out. It's, whatever service they're doing being pumped out. But it's never like the founder being like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm John. This is my
Yeah.
power washing company. This is how I got into power washing. This is why I love power washing. And this is why I'm the best power washer in Fairfield County.
I've dealt with a lot of clients who don't want to be involved or forward facing. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can create a founder's page and, you have your content there that's behind the brand. Acts like a domino effect. People go around the circle and like they believe like in the authenticity behind it. But I've managed to get my clients somehow to be a part of the process now, and they can do voiceovers. They talk to the camera now. They explain who they are and what they do, and they're really proud of it. And I think it makes them proud, and I think it's really important for the audience to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep it real with you. Like one of the things for me, like I was terrified about getting in front of a camera, but once I did, and I talked to the X amount of followers who I have, right, it started to build faster.
Yeah.
And people started to reach out to me directly. Opportunities started to present themselves, because I'm a firm believer, and this is maybe just how I operate personally. Like I'll do business with someone I'll do business with a business if I knew who's behind the business.
Yeah.
If I met the person at a at some sort of networking event and they're like, oh, I got to do this, I'm going to think about them, and then I'm going to see them on social media talking about what they do. And then I'm going to see all the comments that people were like, oh, John's great. Oh, John's this. Oh, John's, you know what I mean? Like that means something to me.
Yeah.
Because I think more often than not, like, especially now in this like AI, like integrated world, you can't tell what's real, what's fake. Everyone's, chasing the same market share in whatever respective industry, whether it's real estate, whether it's interior design, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So in order to, you're the thing that makes it different. And if people buy into you, they'll buy into your business.
It's hard. And, I'm the shoemaker who doesn't have shoes when it comes to my own social media for Social Tide. But for Fern's Nest, it's so hard to get in front of that camera and like talk to it and then watch it and criticize yourself about, what people are going to like and what people are going to resonate. And it's hard. I completely empathize with it. But I do think it's integral to the business.
Well, it's funny because you know what's hilarious? A lot of the folks who I know who manage other people's social media don't do the same strategies for their own business.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's hard.
It's wild. And I'm calling you out, Rachel Lacken. But like there's a lot of things that I've kind of I get it though. I get that fear. It's all fear. But one of the things I could tell you is it's not about, like, not everyone's watching you.
People, I always think this, people don't care that much.
People
about
don't care
whether your eyebrow looks bigger than the other. Like people don't. They're there. They really don't.
They really don't.
And if they do, that's not your person.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't. And that's what I think a lot of people struggle with. And if it's not perfect, and we spoke about people's businesses being their babies and it being perfect. And I think a lot of business owners struggle with that. because it is their baby.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny that you say that because no, people aren't watching, people aren't paying attention. And the reason why, like, all right, so like I've hosted events, I've put together a bunch of events, and, I'll post it on my story, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you expect to sell out 100 tickets just based off story posts and posting about your event, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah.
Because you know how many times, and this happened early on, when I talk about an event that I was doing, right, on social media, and then I'd see people in real life, oh, like I just posted, and they're like, oh, I didn't see it. And it's not, they're not trying to be rude. They genuinely didn't see it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you're not in everyone's algorithm, A, that you're going to see day to day. B, it's so fast paced. I think it's something like 3 seconds you need to hook them.
Yeah.
And
well, it depends on the type of person who's in your algorithm, though, because that's not the case for everyone. Some people really like the long form content.
Yeah.
Some people like the documentary feel.
I guess.
It depends on the person. You don't necessarily need a hook for every single post, because then people are expecting what you're going to be posting, and then they get bored.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it's crazy, like with digital marketing and just like how it's great to like pump out like what you're doing and who you are, but it's also like, damn, what a challenge, because the more that we're being hit with, the shorter and shorter people's attention spans are getting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to remember as well, though, that social media marketing for businesses is still relatively new. It's been happening, and the same practices are within like the other forms of marketing, but we're really in this business for 10, maybe 15 years. I don't necessarily know if it is that long, but it is fairly new. People are still figuring out like what is happening. But in addition to that, the platforms are always changing. People's culture and interests are always changing. So it's making sure that you have that formula of, making yourself so attainable to the viewer, but also the other people that might not necessarily be within your scope.
What do you think is the number one mistake that people make
with their businesses?
With their social media marketing, their businesses, yeah.
The same content over and over again. The same type of content.
Huh.
That's what I think is because it's
boring.
You expect it, which is boring, I think, And if there's a little bit of something different, I think, you can go on the same theme, you can go on the same genre, but the different type of content is what.
Shit, I do a lot of the same content.
But you have to broaden your scope. There
Me
might
personally,
be
or it's like
anyone. You broaden your yes, just you.
Just you.
You broaden your scope to there could be someone out there that doesn't necessarily have the time to listen to this type of content, or doesn't like a hook, and the platform knows that, and it won't deliver it to that people.
Huh.
That's what I think.
Look at that.
I know, such hard truths. I'm sorry.
No. I agree with you, which is why, recently I made a commitment to put out more just like organic content, me just like talking to a mic.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I still have like my social media girl come with me.
I hope she doesn't come for me now. Oh my gosh.
Edit. What?
I hope she doesn't come for me now.
Oh, she's fine. She's not that scary. But
don't want to make enemies though.
No, she's
sorry.
No. Well, I pump out most of my content, but like I have someone who works on the podcast handle. Just,
okay.
Yeah. And then the girl who I've been working with over the past like 2 years, who covers my events, like I was like, all right, like you could start posting things on my handle, and she was running my business handle before, which is it's just.
She's obviously doing a great job because I found you via social media.
She's doing a wonderful job, but. But like,
and that feedback's really important for a small business owner.
Yeah,
it is.
And obviously, like you have these conversations with people when you're like, hey, like it needs to be more of you, or B, let's diversify what we're posting, or C, let's start educating people. and I think, that's one of the 3 buckets that's really important for me, where it's like, promoting the podcast, educating people, A, on what I do, and B, highlighting, certain things,
Behind the scenes too.
Yeah, behind the scenes and highlighting things that I'm doing.
Yeah, the amount of work that goes into your day.
Yeah. I do know now. But, it's I learn every day new things, you know?
I mean, you're never too old to learn.
You're never too old to learn.
I am always trying to learn new things. I don't know everything.
You don't?
No, unfortunately not.
Bummer.
My husband would disagree, but
Hey, listen, happy wife, happy life, right?
Exactly.
So obviously I want to talk about purpose because, you like we talked about so many different things.
I know, I'm so sorry. It's so
no,
chaotic.
like you've had a very diverse journey. You've had different seasons, and I think that's what it's really important, that you have these experiences, and it all funnels into purpose, frankly. So, what does the word purpose mean to you?
I think purpose changes for me. I don't necessarily look at purpose as a one thing. I think purpose is education, like for myself, self-development, and evolving like as a person and, within motherhood, within business, within people, and finding that connection. I think connection is more so the purpose behind a lot of why I do things and what I'm doing.
Okay.
So I guess it is the purpose. Connection is the purpose.
Connection is the purpose. Yeah. I love that. What advice would you give to somebody on that journey of finding purpose?
Oh, goodness. I mean, this is very cliche, but just stay true to yourself. There's no one more important than you and what you're trying to be, and that no one else is gonna do it for you. So stay on track to being yourself and, being comfortable with yourself. Grow to be comfortable with yourself.
I love that. Fern Murray, I'm so grateful for you to reaching out. Now I have an interior designer on deck when I buy a house, and a lot of valuable insight when it comes to just like navigating social media. But like I'm definitely enamored by like your early story and coming here and like building a life, frankly. And I think that's what this is all about. If you can, I invite you to talk to my audience, tell them what's coming up for you and where they can reach you.
So you can reach me at Fern's Nest on Instagram or social_tide. Lots of fun projects coming up for me. And you'll probably see a lot of them out on social media, but you don't actually know it's me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really?
We're gonna have to. I want to see some of your clients, so we'll do that off camera. But thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate you having this conversation.
Thank you for having me
and sharing your time with me.
What a delightful experience.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Folks, I do want to thank all of you for listening and watching episode after episode, week after week. Couple shout outs. I want to shout out Kai Visions. Kai Visions, obviously the production company that I use here. Claudio, Justin, if you're interested in creating anything, whether it's marketing material, you are looking to launch your own podcast, you need coverage for an event, feel free to reach out directly to me at AdamVora_ or at Kai Visions and put purpose. Let them know that you found it out here. Secondly, I'd also want to thank our sponsor, Relive the Moments, amazing business, great for NFC interactive tap technology to incorporate into your business, whether it's for events, whether it's for marketing, whether it's for gifts for clients. Reach out to John Lim, or you can reach out directly to me, and I'd be happy to connect you with their company. You probably saw the commercial in the open and towards the middle of the episode. Lastly, I invite you to all visit my website, www.adamvora.com. And definitely, if you're interested in taking it to another level, becoming more grounded in your purpose, definitely explore the coaching page. I am interested in bringing on 10 new clients this year. So I'd love to talk, connect, grow, and thrive with all of you. So www.adamvora.com. All the information is there, or you can reach out to me on social media. And last but not least, thanks again, guys. Please like, subscribe, share. That's what helps us to grow this exceptional community. And I'm super grateful for all of you.